Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are we? All good? You made it here for the last session of the day, so that gets a thumbs up from me. And thanks for joining. Welcome to your leadership material, a toolkit for positioning yourself as a leader. So you can all hear me clearly, yeah? Good, good, good. It sounds so loud, it feels like you can't, but I'm trying to get used to it. All right, so let's get cracking because we haven't got too long to go. Got a lot to share with you. So I think some faces look familiar from yesterday, but for most of you, I always like to share a slide like this whenever I'm starting a session of mine, inviting you to relax, slow down, breathe, take it easy, enjoy life, and smile. I invite you to think of which one of these resonates most with you in this moment. Yesterday, it was definitely the breathe one for me. It was a busy day, and it started off really badly. But today, I'm just feeling a bit more of a, you know what? Let's just smile. So you take from that whatever you wish. Now comes the big question. Probably the reason why you're here. Am I leadership material? Something that we've probably all asked at some point in life. And before I'm going to invite you to start a bit of a discussion with me, I want to share a definition of leadership from Eisenhower. And I particularly love it. Eisenhower says, leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he or she wants to do it. I'm going to repeat that one more time because you really need to think about that. He first of all says it's an art. So it's the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he or she wants to do it. Now, who's a parent in the room? Raise your hands. This is something we all need schooling in, right? And as parents, because half the time we're like, just do it because I said so. Like, and they're like, begrudgingly. But when you're leading, that person is doing it because they want to do it. Yet it's something that you want done. It clearly illustrates the difference between leaders and managers. Leadership and just dictatorship or whatever other kind of ship there is, so it's leaders. There's something special and different about being a leader, and it's that connection that you're able to build with people, that ability to round troops and get them on board. So the question is, once again, am I leadership material? Because if actually you can get someone to buy into your idea, you can be a leader. So let's unpack this further. And I want you to start thinking about, and in your biggest voice possible, start telling me, what do you think a leader is like? In other words, give me characteristics, give me qualities, give me attributes that you think of when you think of a leader, the one that can do what we just talked about. Oh, I've got inspiring. I love that. And role model. Very, very good start. Anything else? Someone who cares. Good. Passionate. Fantastic. Come on, this side of the room. Give me some. Charismatic. Good. Assertive. Excellent. Anything else? Decisive. Very good. Anything else? An active listener. Good. And that's a good one, particularly because we often think about people that are leading being able to do this, yak, 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 like I am, right? But not necessarily about their ability to listen. And it really is key, because how else are you going to get me on board unless you hear me by active listening? So brilliant. Okay, so you've named some fantastic attributes that a leader may have. I'm going to give you just a few that I've jotted down here. Effective leaders. They have a vision and they're able to communicate that effectively. They instill trust. They're able to garner trust from others, and they empower their team. if you're not empowering me, if you're not someone that's helping me to believe in myself, am I really going to want to do that thing that you want done because I want to do it? But if you just think to those people that have really made a good impression upon you, good managers that you may have had, because obviously we can be a manager and a leader, but we don't necessarily have to be a manager to lead. Some managers just manage and somebody else does the leading. Somebody else is getting people rallied up to come on board. But ideally, we're going to be managing and leading people, and that's because we're able to communicate well, and that's because we're able to help them find the great stuff that lies within them. When you think of managers that have really made a great impression upon you, it's those that have helped you see yourself and the greatness within yourself. So that's a really great quality to have. They are able to show respect for others as well as themselves. They coach and develop their team members. They are humble. They are confident. They are authentic, compassionate, and all the other things that you mentioned. These are the kind of qualities, these are the kind of attributes that effective leaders have. And so, as we continue, just want to share, did the wrong thing there, clicked the wrong place, what the aims and objectives of today's session are. The aim is that by the end of this session, you'll be equipped with an understanding of the steps that you can take to position yourself as a leader. And you'll have identified at least one way that you can develop yourself to position yourself as a leader. You will leave it thinking, right, I'm going to do this thing. At least one thing. Because you know what? Change and growth is incremental. Now I'm going to start shouting, innit? These people are loud, boy. So change and growth is incremental. And so it's just one step at a time. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So wherever you may be in your journey right now, if you leave here committing to take one step, you've just moved further forward on your journey. Okay, so what does it mean to be a leader? Definition is a person in control of a group, country, or situation. So that's according to the Cambridge Dictionary. Now, another bit of interaction. Shout out. Who comes to mind when you think of a leader? Prime Minister. Questionable whether they're effective or good, right? But anyway, it's not a political one here. So who else comes to mind when you think of a leader? Teachers, great. CEOs. Any names of any individuals that come to mind when you think of a leader as well? Oh, Jurgen Klopp. Who's he now? All right, I knew it was something to do with football, but I just couldn't place him. Anything? Parents, yeah, mums, role models, aren't they? So definitely. And I like that as well because we often think of leaders as people in positions of power that, you know, is akin to like influence in society on a grand scale and money. But actually, you know, as a mum, it's a thankless job oftentimes, but you have so much ability to influence. So it is important to recognize that is a leadership role. Anyone else? Any other either kind of titles or people? No? Oh, say that again, please. Zelensky in Ukraine, that's okay, the president or prime minister, whatever title. So yes, you know, leaders are a wide range of people, and we can think of some that are good examples as well as those that are less favorable examples of what it means to be a leader. Now, my next question's one that interests me a lot, and I want to know, do you think leaders are born or are they made? Raise your hands if you think leaders are born. You're born a leader. A few of you, okay, a few more hands. Oh, I'm seeing a bit of shaking there. Okay, raise your hands if you think leaders are made. Okay, so some of you are like, yeah, I think both. Right, and that's quite interesting that you should raise your hands for both because it is a combination. According to a study from the Leadership Quarterly on heritability, so like what's inherited, and human development, it's estimated that leadership is 24% generic. 24% generic, and then 76% learned. I'm gonna have to start singing to compete with these people, right? Seriously, I can sing as well, so they need to keep trying me, I will, right? So, the University of Illinois, however, says something just slightly different, and they've got it as a 70-30 split. 30% inherited genetics and 70% learned. So that's really quite good news for us, because what it means is, yes, there are some characteristics, like some people are just naturally more confident. And what confidence does tend to instill is people to trust you, because they think you seem like you believe in yourself and that you can do it, so that makes me feel like you can do it. With someone like, oh, I'm not sure, then you think, oh, well, I'm not sure. If you're not sure, I'm not sure. You know, these things are kind of contagious, so to speak. So there are certain things that are likely to mean someone has a natural aptitude for leadership, but actually, on the whole, leadership is learned. Because even for those individuals who may have certain qualities that are akin and likened to being a good leader, they're still likely to have to develop a whole lot of more skills and qualities that's going to make them an effective leader. Think back to when you were a child and you had that kid that was like, right, everyone, follow me. And I've got my niece. She's 4 years old. My daughter's 6, and her elder brother is 7, going on 8. And these two kids are following her around, like she's like, follow me, everybody. And then she's marching around, and that's what they're doing. Because this little chick is a leader innately. However, there's definitely room for development, because what this chick doesn't often do so well is listen to the others. You know, and as we've said, if you want to be an effective leader, you're going to need to work on those active listening skills. So this is why it's really important that we do understand that it is a combination of both. Even if we have got certain qualities that mean that we're likely to lead well, in most people's minds, we're still going to need to be developed. And I also want to introduce the idea that quite often those who may not have been thought of as natural leaders can become exceptionally great leaders, because they do the work with a view to becoming an effective leader rather than thinking that they're already a leader anyway, and so don't need so much development. So don't disqualify yourself. It is definitely about developing so that you can lead and improving that capacity to lead. So, a little bit about myself and our company. My name is Jasmine Mbai. The unusual surname is pronounced like tasty, and then Bai like Sia. So Jasmine Mbai. And I'm a family woman, mother of 1 and a wife. I like to call myself the empowerment champion. I am an international keynote speaker, lead trainer, coach, co-author, and overcomer of abuse. And I just add that abuse part in there because what I want to show is that it doesn't matter what has happened to you in the past, where you go and how you move forward is determined primarily by you. I'm a TEDx multi-award-winning speaker, been featured on the BBC, and my work has been recognised as outstanding by mayors. I'm a member of CIPD, which is the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, and SET, which is the Society for Education and Training, or trainers, and there's a professional bodies. And I like to use what's called the double P approach, and that is a term that I've coined, where I share professional expertise as well as personal experiences, because I believe that enables you to have a far more transformational experience when I'm sharing. And so our mission is to empower and inspire 1 million women, because we believe in doing so that we create billions of possibilities. And so the Like Me CIC is an organization that I started in 2018. We're a leadership development and employee empowerment organization. And we support individuals to overcome obstacles, fulfill their potential, and advance their career, their business, and their life. We work with organizations so that they can retain talent, improve productivity, and save money by developing leaders, enhancing employee empowerment, and improving well-being. And we do this in person, like today, as well as online, virtually. So that's a little bit about me and the company that I run. So now, back to the subject at hand. You and being leadership material. So, how can you position yourself to be a leader, to be seen as a leader? And I've got a room filled predominantly of women. That positioning is really key. And for us, it's a mental adjustment for most women that they have to make, because we kind of may have been raised to believe that, it's not good for us to be too braggadocious and pushy, and actually we should wait to be recognized. That is part of the reason. It's definitely not the full picture, but it's part of the reason why women can still today get paid less than men. Because they have found that a man will be like, hold up a minute, I'm doing a great job. I should be getting paid more money. Knock, knock, knock. Just thought I'd come in and just say, I'm doing great. I think I should get paid more. Whereas women typically will wait until it's time to be appraised and hope that their good work has been seen and recognized, and they are offered a pay increase as opposed to asking for it. So I just want to challenge that notion. This is about you recognizing that you have what it takes to be a leader, and then positioning yourself so that you can be seen for the leader that you are capable of being. So let's get into how you might develop yourself so that this can be observed. There are two things that you want to develop. It's your knowledge and your skills. So let's start off by looking at the knowledge. I encourage you to read daily. Read business books or relevant books on leadership. Can anyone throw out some names when it comes to leadership? John C. Maxwell's a great one. Stephen Covey. He's not just focused on leadership, but he's definitely a great example. These are people you want to go, and if you're not a big reader, you have Audible or audio books that you can listen to it. You can go on to Google and type their names in, and people do these great little funny, drawy videos where they talk about all their principles, and you can still understand the core of what they're referring to. So read daily. They say just 10 minutes every day, particularly at the start of your day, can make a really fundamental difference to your mindset and your trajectory over a period of time. So commit to reading daily to develop yourself. And also with the next one, which is being to develop yourself, this is where you have the mindset that you are going to seize training and development opportunities. So this is more formal. Reading being more informal. This is more structured development opportunities. So any courses that are going available at work, take those opportunities to develop yourself. Things like asking for opportunities to shadow a colleague. It could be asking for mentorship or sponsorship. If you know that you want to get somewhere and you see someone who's doing something, you think they're doing really good. It could be just saying, actually, I'd really love to meet with you to have a coffee one day. I just would like to find out what your thoughts are on, or, sometimes it doesn't have to be the overly formal. It could just be they're in a place that I'd like to be. Let me have a chat with them. Let me see what advice they could give me about how I could progress, particularly if they're in your organization and you're thinking you want to move up the ladder. They could have some golden nuggets for you. So read daily and develop yourself when it comes to your knowledge. When it comes to your skills, what you want to do is deliver. You want to make sure that you are known for delivering results that beat the expectations of whatever were had for you. You are on time, you deliver what is expected and above. You are superior in your service delivery, all your products, your solutions, and you're always delivering in a timely manner that you can be counted upon. So you are trusted for providing good quality. Next is to cultivate a following, which is not something that we probably are overly familiar with when we're thinking about developing our leadership roles at work. And we're thinking about we want to be, an influencer, yes, but how does that translate? But the reality is, if people are looking up to you because you're knowledgeable in a certain area, you are now beginning to position yourself. So cultivating a following is all about making sure that you get to know and understand people, how they work, What makes them tick? I like the word curious. Become curious about people. Don't presume that you know and understand. Ask questions. Sometimes people can be afraid to do that, but how else will you know? Learn to inspire, motivate, and empower others. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite quotes. It comes from a woman you've probably heard of called Maya Angelou. And she says, I've learned that people will forget what you've said, they'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So in cultivating a following, what you're doing is at the level that you're at, you're already beginning to positively impact people so that when you do elevate, they are going to want to come behind you and support you and follow you in what you're doing because they know that you actually are an ally to them. You make them feel good about themselves in an authentic way. Next step is to become boldly self-aware. There's nothing worse than someone who doesn't really know how they impact others, the effects of what they're doing. So self-awareness is really powerful to have. So begin to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are and commit to living what I call a strengths-focused life. Meaning we all have strengths and weaknesses. And I think one of the worst things that we've done is kind of bought into this idea that to have weaknesses is a bad thing, that we need to try and pretend that we don't have any, when everybody in the entire world has weaknesses. It's what makes you human. Without them, I'm worried about who you are because you're probably narcissistic. But anyway, it's another thing. So everyone has weaknesses. So let's know them. And what I encourage people that I work with to do is to trade your strengths for your weaknesses. And by that I mean, I'm a good speaker. To give you an example, I was 17 years old. I was presenting at, I think it was the London History Museum with my A-levels. And I've always been a good talker. I used to get told off for talking in school. And then I realized it needed to be channeled. And so I had a group of us, and they were just much better at paying attention to the detail, like what does the picture mean, which for me just wasn't that interesting really. So they did all the work of interpreting the picture, gave it to me, and then I presented that. That's where I traded my strengths for their weakness. No, my weaknesses for the strengths. You get what I'm saying? I might have said that wrong there, right? So what I was good at, I offered up in service and then traded for them what they were good at, because we all have them. So when you're aware of your weaknesses, you can say, aha, let's work together because I see that you're really good at this and I'm really good at that. Together, we can now excel and achieve more. Rather than becoming competitive and feeling inferior, we can all do better. You're going to feel good about you because you're doing what you're good at and you enjoy, and I'm the same. So, become boldly self-aware. Next point is to think strategically. Think more broadly and question how things can be done better, how things could be done, whether that's faster, in a shorter amount of energy, whatever it be that better can quantify. Think about how you can add value wherever you are. Because if you're adding value, then people are going to want to see you succeed because you're making them succeed. Think beyond the here and now. And start thinking further ahead. They say the average individual worker thinks about today and maybe tomorrow and later this week. When you get to the supervisory level, you start thinking about the week to the month. As you rise up the ranks, you're thinking further and further ahead in terms of time frame. Those that are sitting on the board, they're not thinking about what's happening right now this week too much unless there's a problem. They're thinking about, right, what's then happening in the next 5 years? So if you want to rise up, you need to be thinking in much bigger chunks and further ahead, not just thinking about what's happening now. And seek to identify critical factors and variables, because now you're able to input in a way that your peers are not doing because they're thinking about the here and now. They're thinking about the next few days, maybe the next week. They're not really planning that far ahead. You're managing to set yourself apart in a positive way. And the last one is a really important one. Document your accomplishments. When you achieve, don't just, oh, great, and move on. Take some time I'm going to say ladies, I've only got one gentleman in the room, ladies and gentlemen, take some time and actually enjoy what you've done and keep a record of it. Because how many of you, show of hands, it comes to appraisal time and you've forgotten half the things that you achieved earlier in the year? Exactly. Because we don't take the time to document it. Keep your documents. And then when it comes to appraisal time, if you're one of those, right, I want to wait, you now pull out your list. So I've done this, I've done that. And now they're thinking, wow, because you're not the only one that's probably forgotten. So has your manager and a lot of other people. And so when you're able to remind them, they can see the value that you've added and how positively you've contributed. So now if they weren't thinking about you for more money and promotion, they're going to start to see. And remember, whenever you are documenting your accomplishments, not just simply, I led on this project. What was the impact of that? And if you can show the impact that you specifically made, always try and get down on that kind of granular level. So the project was a successful one because it brought in X amount of revenue. We managed to do it within a reduced time frame, and that meant we saved X amount of money. So really be able to quantify the difference that you have made in your accomplishment. Because now, again, it's not only that you've accomplished something, but they're actually able to see the major differences that were made in your accomplishments. So now, we've got our key steps of how to position yourself as a leader. What I'm also going to share with you before we come out of here today are some tips. Some tips that you can take away and begin to work as well. We want to identify the culture of your place of work. Is it a collaborative one? Is it one that supports entrepreneurialism? Or is it rather competitive and very hierarchical? Identify the culture in your company, because then you can adapt your style to suit so that you're able to advance and you can connect and engage with leadership. Now, this is one that I like, being that I like to do a lot of this. Share your story. What is your story? And this is something that, I've spoken to some people, and they're like, actually, I don't really have a story. Then you need to get one, is the long and short of it. Story is about how we tell something. You can be like, I don't have a story, and that might be your story, that you don't have one. My advice would be to get a better one than that. It doesn't sound very good, which is to think about whatever you've experienced, what challenges have you overcome, things that you might actually think aren't that interesting, but because they're unique to you, somebody else will be like, oh, really? I didn't know that. It can include some personal stuff, because actually a lot of the experiences that we have personally impact us professionally. So it doesn't all have to be professional. It can be relevant personal experiences that have shaped who you are and why you are the way that you are. You might be someone who's really hardworking. Where might that stem from? Well, actually, I have a family member, my mum or my brother, my sister's disabled, and I've always been very supportive of them and realized that actually it really makes a difference when we come together and we support people and work as a team. Now, that story is really compelling. So what is your story? Think about that and share it. So credentials, we talked about documenting your accomplishments, they're great. But when we can weave that into a story, it becomes really compelling. They say facts tell, stories sell. Now, you might be thinking, well, I ain't trying to sell nothing, but you are. You're trying to sell your services. You're trying to sell yourself to be a leader. You're trying to get buy-in. So that means you clearly are selling something. You want to get buy-in. And that's what we've got to think about. What am I presenting and how am I presenting it? Because if it's not very compelling, don't be surprised when people aren't compelled to take you up on whatever you're wanting them to. So it's about thinking about what the story is and making it a more compelling one. Next is to be a leader first. You may not have heard of the be, do, have principle, but it's something that I learned some years ago and I seek to live by. So if I want to be a leader, I don't wait till I've got the title and the position to be a leader. I decide that I'm going to be a leader first. So I identify what it is that leaders do, and I do those things. They say if you want to be a millionaire, you don't wait till you have millions to be a millionaire. You start to be a millionaire before you have the millions. you start doing the things that millionaires do. And the proof of that is in people that win the lottery. They had just lots of debts and no money, and they win the lottery, and now they have lots of money. And you know what they do? They create more debt, and within a year, they're in a worse financial position than they were before they won the lottery. Because it starts here, it's mindset. And if they haven't got the mindset to manage money when they're broke, they sure cannot manage money when there's plenty of it. It's just more to mismanage. So be a leader first. Adopt the mindset of a leader. And again, that goes back to what we talked about a moment ago, which is the reading. What is it that leaders do? I'm someone that gets the notifications from places like Forbes, and they'll say, you know, these are the things that great leaders do. And you think, right, am I doing that? And that's why it's good to read daily and get new information about leadership or whatever it is that you're interested in. If it's a particular area of leadership and you're wanting to elevate in, just keep abreast of that and always be challenging yourself to adopt and be better. How can you do that? So be whatever you want to be, in this case, a leader first. Next one is to solve bigger problems. Links into what we talked about, which is the, when I said, or what was it a moment ago, not the thinking strategically, it was the cultivating a following. And no. Thinking strategically, it was that one, where you're going to think about, you know, working at a much further ahead period of time, not just this week, but actually thinking about, you know, next 6 months, a year, and going ahead like that. This links into that. Solve much bigger problems. Yes, think about how you can help your peers and support them and anticipate what they need. But what's going to make a staggering difference is when you are managing up and you're being innovative and solving the problems that higher level team members may have, and helping those decision makers so that they are thinking, who is this person? You know, that you've managed to come up with a solution that solves their issue. They want you now to come and sit and talk with them and talk to them about stuff that someone at your level wouldn't normally do. But because you've taken the time to think about solving a bigger problem, it puts you on their radar, which is fantastic. Next one is to be present authentically. Be present meaning when you're in spaces and places, seek to genuinely connect with people. Ask questions. So let your presence be felt, let your presence be known, but in an authentic way. Because people will connect and they'll be thinking of that person who asked that good question, you know, after that, who is that? You know, oh, that person made a really good point there. I think we need to consider that. I'd love to have a conversation with them. So be present. Seize those opportunities. And it might mean that you need to start doing things like putting your opinion out there on a blog. And it comes to something you're really passionate about that's relevant to where you want to go. Make sure that people know that you have an opinion and use your voice. However that suits you. In my case, it's doing this, but maybe you're not someone that wants to stand and hold a mic and talk to people or sit down in a meeting room, but maybe you're better at writing. So that's why you're going to do a blog or you're going to contribute in another way, but that still helps people to hear the important things that you have to say about the area that you want to grow and develop in. And so that underneath that comes, you know, a level of confidence. We've got to really believe in ourselves. So that links into the next point, which is to be confident. I'm not going to put myself out there. You know, I'm not likely to want to write this blog or to, I'll go and attend the meeting that no one else wants to do, or, you know, volunteer to do stuff that people aren't really that keen on if I don't believe in myself. So to step out and to step up, it's going to require a new level of confidence. Yesterday I did a session on imposter syndrome, and we looked at one of the causes of that, which is that gap. I'm currently at this level and I've now gone up to another level, but I don't have a track record at this new level. So it's quite normal for imposter syndrome to develop because we've got a gap in our expertise and experience and in our history. So confidence is what can help us bridge that gap, which is I've done something similar before, so you know what? I might fall down, I might make mistakes, but that's part of growth. I'm just going to do the best that I can do, and I'm going to believe that I have the ability to learn. I'm not going to be afraid to ask questions. If you're taking on a role that somebody else has done, wisdom is to go to that person and say, right, what tips have you got? Is there any advice you can give me? But that takes a level of confidence, because if you are suffering from the imposter syndrome, you're going to think, people are going to think I'm incapable. as opposed to I don't give two hoots about what other people think. What I care about is being able to do the job. And I'm going to draw on all the resources that are going to help me to do so, which includes the knowledge that other people have. So develop your confidence so that you can believe in yourself and learn whatever it is that you need to learn so that you can grow in your confidence too. And then last point is to say yes. There's a book, I think it was The Year of Saying Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I started reading it, but then realized I'm someone that needs to say no. That's not me. We've all got different things in life. I say yes to too much stuff. I'm like, no, this is my year of saying no. So maybe you're someone, though, that it actually needs to be about saying yes because you're tending to doubt yourself and feeling a bit too scared to stretch yourself. But by saying yes to some uncomfortable opportunities, maybe to lead on a project or to lead a meeting, something that stretches you, that puts you on a new platform, that actually can enable you to be seen in a new light. When I was supervising a team earlier in my career, there was a member that came to work with me, and she was a really shy individual, very capable, but just really shy, to the point where we sat next to each other and she would talk to me freely, easy, and she would talk to every member of our team. We were in a team meeting and she wouldn't say boo to a goose just because we were in a team meeting. She wouldn't speak up. And so we worked on her confidence. And by the time that she left my supervision, she actually led a team meeting. She was the one that created the agenda and was the timekeeper and organized all of it because she was willing to say yes to those stretch and growth opportunities. Wherever the comfort zone is, ladies and gentlemen, the magic don't happen there. It happens outside of the comfort zone. So until you're willing to say yes to those things that you probably don't really want to, you are not going to allow yourself to see yourself first and foremost, and then for others to see you for the capable individual that you are. So it's going to take some, yes, please, Lord God, help me so I don't fall flat on my face kind of yeses, but nonetheless, say yes anyway. The saying is from that book, feel the fear and do it anyway. So learn to say yes. So in summary, to position yourself as a leader, you need to recognize that leadership precedes leader. Leadership talks about our capacity to lead, and if we develop that through those tips and stuff that I've shared, then that means that we are now positioning ourselves to become a leader. Work on developing your knowledge and your skills as outlined, and then be a leader before you become a leader, which reminds me, I forgot to share my principle that I alluded to, which is the be, do, have principle. That's what I was kind of getting at when I talked about the millionaire thing. We need to be something and then do the things that being is. So be the leader, do the things that a leader does, and then you will have the things that the leader has, which will be the role and everything else. So that's definitely a good one to take away with you, the be, do, have principle. And when you operate in that, then you'll be able to position yourself as a leader and be recognized for doing so. So, thank you very much for joining me today. If you want to connect with me, that QR code there will mean that we can connect on the various LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform you're on. If you want to find out how empowered you are, because confidence is a key part of just progressing in life, then feel free. You can access it via this QR code as well to take the Empowered Score Quiz, completely free. Just gives you some feedback, and it entitles you to a free insight call with myself where we just talk about your results and see how I can suggest that you can develop and grow. And if you are wanting to improve and develop on your own levels of confidence and empowerment, then I do have a Empowering You Lunch and Learn series coming up, and if you're wanting to know more details about that and get the discount code that I have specially for the PA show, then feel free to come over here, leave me your details, and I will send you the link and the discount code in an email. Oh yeah, and I've got a couple of books with me today. I'm happy to sign them, and I've got a special on them, just £10 if you're wanting to get the Secrets of 99 Successful Women, a very inspirational book, or my other one, which I've co-authored, is The Speaker's Journey. It's talking about the journeys of various speakers like myself have gone on to be able to do stuff like this. So, yeah, any of that interests you, feel free to come over here and see me. Any questions? Stunned you to silence, eh? Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you.